Welcome to Top 30. I'm Kristen Smith.
And I'm Richard Bacon, and here are your top 30 stories in 30 minutes.
More Americans are taking out installment loans with interest rates in the triple digits. The LA Times talked to a former veteran of the Marine Corps who borrowed just over $5,000. It was scheduled to be paid off over 7 years. But with an annual interest rate of 116%, her total payments will be over $42,000. The most popular installment loan is for between $2,500 and $5,000 to be paid off over a year or more. They've grown over the last decade, especially among those who have poor credit scores. One consumer advocate says access to credit of this kind is like giving starving people poisoned food. The costly loans are legal in several states, including California. That's because there's no cap on interest rates for loans above a certain amount. Borrowers can apply online and be approved quickly. Experts say the rates are so high, lenders often make their money back even if borrowers default on their loans. The 90th Annual Academy Award nominations were announced, and the big theme was diversity. Mexican director Guillermo del Toro's sci-fi fantasy Shape of Water earned 13 nominations, one shy of the record held by Titanic, including Best Actress, Best Director, and the coveted Best Picture. Additionally, Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Phantom Thread, The Post, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri were also nominated in the Best Picture category. Get Out was one of the most critically acclaimed films of the year, which earned it nominations for Best Screenplay, Best Picture, Best Director, and a Best Actor nod for Daniel Kaluuya. The female-helmed Lady Bird earned director Greta Gerwig the prestigious honor of being only the 5th woman in the history of the Oscars to ever be nominated for Best Director. Dunkirk nabbed 8 nominations, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri landed 7, and Darkest Hour and Phantom Thread come in 3rd place with 6 nominations each. Making history was the Netflix film Mudbound, thanks to the nomination of cinematographer Rachel Morrison, making her the first woman to ever earn a nomination in this category. It'll be exciting to see how things play out on March 4th when the Oscars air.
Passengers who want to take service animals on Delta flights will have to provide more information before bringing their animal into the cabin of the plane. Starting on March the 1st, owners will have to show proof of their animal's health or vaccinations at least 48 hours before a flight and sign a document stating their animal can behave in the plane. This is on top of a letter signed by a doctor saying the passenger needs to fly with the animal. Delta says the changes are in response to an 84% increase in animal incidents aboard planes, including going to the bathroom, biting and barking. The new requirements do not apply to pets, which have a $125 fee on Delta. American and United, the 2 other biggest airlines in the world, are also reviewing their animal policies.
A 7.9 magnitude earthquake hit early Tuesday morning in the Gulf of Alaska, about 175 miles southeast of Kodiak. A tsunami warning was initially issued for the West Coast, including Canada's British Columbia, Washington State, Oregon, most of California, and the Hawaiian Islands, but called off after further analysis of the quake. And Neil Diamond canceled the 3rd leg of his 50th anniversary tour, announcing immediate retirement, revealing he's been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Diamond will be honored by the Recording Academy with its Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammys on Sunday. Now, check out this commercial plane in Germany trying to land while being rocked by 70-mile-per-hour crosswinds. The pilot pulled off the landing perfectly, and I hope he got a standing ovation for that one. Now to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with the lovely and talented Nicole Petalides. Nicole, I heard there was a big sale in the alcohol industry.
That's right, Kristen. Well, rum giant Bacardi is buying tequila maker Patron for $5.1 billion. The demand for tequila has increased exponentially recently, with volume growing at a rate of almost 6% annually since 2002. Bacardi also owns Grey Goose Vodka, Bombay Sapphire, and Casadores. President Trump has imposed some steep tariffs on imported washing machines and solar panels. Supporters of this move say the president is keeping his word on a campaign promise to get tough on China. But critics say consumers will end up paying more for new washers and solar installations. Bank of America is getting rid of free checking account that's called e-banking. Anyone with this account will now be charged a monthly fee if they don't have direct deposit or must have a minimum account daily balance of $1,500.
So who's going to feel this change the most, Nicole?
Well, Bank of America is the latest American bank to shut down free checking accounts, which are popular among some lower-income customers. Get this, about 10 million U.S. families don't use a bank at all because those fees can really add up.
Wow, interesting stuff, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Travelers visiting Jamaica have received warnings to stay inside their resorts thanks to a string of deadly shootings in the vacation hotspot Montego Bay. According to Newsweek, both the UK and Canada have issued similar warnings recommending travelers stay inside their hotels and exercise caution if traveling at night. This occurred after authorities in Jamaica issued a state of emergency for St. James Parish, where Montego Bay is located, which includes an increase in foot soldiers and a temporary curfew. Major General Rocky Mead says authorities have deployed soldiers in the area to target gang members with particular focus on those that are responsible for murders, lotto scamming, trafficking of arms and guns, and extortion. The United States hasn't updated its travel advisory for Jamaica since January the 10th, but at the time it had the travel warning at exercise increased caution for the area.
The party continues in Philadelphia after the Eagles clinched a spot in the Super Bowl on Sunday. But one fan created his own news for something that happened after the game. Mike Jarek from Fox 29 in Philadelphia joins us with more.
Kristen, I was at that game. So after the game, we get back into the center part of Philadelphia by taking the subway. So we hop on the subway, we look out, there's a dude who's missed the train, right? So he's racing for it. Why, I don't know, because the doors are already closed, and then slams into that steel girder. Ow! That has to leave a mark. Want to see it again? Apparently he's okay. He's gonna be okay.
Well, Mike, I hear police took some interesting steps before the celebration started on Sunday night.
Oh, this has become a little tradition here after a big win in Philadelphia. The police get big vats of Crisco and they grease up the poles so us fans can't climb up onto the poles and make the poles break or fall off of them and get hurt. So we have pole after pole after pole covered in Crisco.
Well, that's certainly one way to stop fans from climbing them. Thanks, Mike.
Hospitals are getting into the drug business. A group of 4 healthcare groups will team with the Department of Veterans Affairs Health Administration to form a non-profit company to make generic medications. Hospitals have struggled with shortages of common medications like injectable morphine, antibiotics, and heart drugs. Some drugs are only made by one company. If they run out, there isn't an easy way to find more. Less competition can also mean price increases. The most famous example is an old drug called Daraprim. After its patent expired, a company run by Martin Shkreli purchased it and raised the price from $13.50 to $750 a pill. One of the physicians in charge of the new effort said, "This is a shot across the bow of the bad guys. We are not going to lay down." The company won't say which drugs they will be making. They're concerned drug companies would lower the prices and then raise them later.
The government shutdown is over, but Democrats and Republicans aren't done fighting about immigration. Most Senate Democrats, led by Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, agreed to a short-term spending bill to fund the government. President Trump signed it Monday night. Democrats had been under pressure to win a better deal for Dreamers, children who were brought to the U.S. illegally but protected from deportation by the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. While DACA ends in March, about 700,000 people will lose their legal status. But in November, at least 10 Democratic senators are facing tough re-election campaigns in states that voted for Trump. They believed a shutdown would hurt their odds. Democrats voted to end the shutdown after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell promised to vote on immigration reform. The deal also extends funding for the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, for 6 years. Dreamers and those on the far left criticized the move. The director of one immigrants' rights group said, "I am moved to tears of disappointment and anger that Democrats blinked." But there could be another shutdown soon. This week's bill only funds the government through February 8th. The Super Bowl is less than 2 weeks away, and good news, you don't have to play in the game to get a championship ring. That's because one from last year's game is up for auction, and it's connected to arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. It's a Tom Brady authorized ring. Players and coaches get rings paid for by the team, but can authorize the making of a nearly identical ring for friends and family. The authorized ring is about 10% smaller than the actual one, and has 260 diamonds instead of 283. But the most intriguing part is the connection to Brady. The auction house told ESPN he never lets things go, and nobody from his inner circle has ever given up something like this. The ring is from one of the best Super Bowls ever. Brady and the Patriots made a historic comeback, erasing a 28-3 deficit in the second half to win the game in overtime. So who's putting the ring up for sale? For now, the seller has chosen to remain anonymous. In today's hometown stories from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, one long-distance runner is bringing marathoning to a whole new level. Michaela Wingle is training for the 2018 World Marathon Challenge, and the task is daunting. It requires participants to run 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. Michaela and her 16-person team will begin the challenge in Novo, Antarctica, then travel to Cape Town, South Africa, then Perth, Australia, then Dubai, then Portugal, then Colombia, and finally Miami. And the best part? They're raising money for 11 charities in the process. In our second story from Fox 9 Minneapolis, the St. Paul Police Department trained its officers how to administer Narcan, a drug that instantly reverses the effects of an overdose. One officer, John Conrad, was called to use the drug just days after his initial training. While patrolling, he noticed a car driving erratically. After he pulled the car over, he found a woman overdosing in the back seat. Officer Conrad sprung into action and gave her Narcan, and he was able to save that woman's life. In our final story from Fox 10 Phoenix, the Department of Homeland Security spearheads the READY program, or Regional Explosives Detection Dog Initiative. The program trains police dogs to detect chemicals often used to make bombs that may be planted on cars. Vasco, the only canine on the Goodyear, Arizona police force, received this special training, and Vasco passed with flying colors.
Health Canada has issued a warning that there is a shortage of EpiPen injectors across the country. The manufacturer, Pfizer Canada, blames the shortage on a manufacturing disruption. EpiPens for adults remain in limited supply, with a lot of pharmacies worried they'll soon run out. The pens are a life-saving tool used by people suffering from a severe allergic reaction. The shortage is expected to last into March, but for now, Health Canada advises anyone having a severe allergic reaction should use their expired EpiPen if that's all they have, and immediately call 911.
A new report from the National Association of Theater Owners shows the number of movie tickets sold in the U.S. and Canada in 2017 was 1.24 billion. That's the lowest number since 1995. This chart shows the steady decline since ticket sales peaked in 2002. There are a lot of factors, including the increased popularity of Netflix and Hulu, and a year of films that featured numerous sequels and reboots that kind of fell flat, and very few films of any sort that excited people. Despite the drop in ticket sales, box office returns were more than $11 billion, the third highest of all time. That was due to an increase in ticket prices and more films in 3D and on large format screens, which both charge premium pricing. So what will 2018 hold for movie theaters? We'll have to wait and see how this script ends. Fred Lamar, or Grandpa Fred, is one of those guys who always puts his family first. So it's no surprise that he's talked about restoring his old 1957 Chevy Bel Air for years, but has never done it. And now he doesn't have to, because his grandson, Cam Dedman, just gave him the surprise of his life for his 81st birthday.
Happy birthday!
Grandpa Fred, trying to take it all in. The clunker that's been sitting in his garage since the 70s is now a shiny red beauty, rich in color and nostalgia. I saved up for years to do this, even sold my personal car to help fund parts for the car. It all is worth it, though, for my grandpa. Fred says it's the best gift he's ever gotten. Through tears, he managed to get out the words, "Oh man, I love you, buddy." The two are planning to hit the road to check out a few classic car shows. So to the guy who's always giving to others, it's about time you received. Happy birthday, Grandpa Fred.
NASA is crediting 2 citizen scientists for bringing some pictures of Jupiter to life. Take a look at some of the pictures enhanced by Gerald Eichstadt and Sean Duran. The 2 manipulated the color and contrast of the original pictures from NASA's JunoCam project, which just finished its 10th orbit around Jupiter. The one you see here shows a close-up of swirling cloud systems. NASA actually encourages people to update the images to bring out the features of the pictures and increase interest in them. Here is a split screen of the original picture on the left and a color-enhanced one on the right. The images from Juno were taken when it was almost 12,000 miles above Jupiter's orbit, so you can understand why a little touch-up is needed.
When you think of your dream home, does it have a river running through it? Well, there's a house in Florida that has just that, an indoor 90-foot lazy river connecting the 3 buildings that make up the property. So you can actually swim from the living room to the dining room and then float yourself onto the bedroom. It was conceived by architect Alfred Browning Parker for the 18,000 square foot Miami home he designed for himself back in 1968. The unique home also boasts a lagoon, a waterfall, and a jacuzzi. The master bedroom is 3 stories high and another bedroom is open air with just 3 walls. Browning Parker passed away in 2011, and the impressive home sold last year for $2.05 million. Pita Taufatefua will be skiing for Tonga at the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea. This is impressive because not only is he the 2nd athlete from the Pacific Island country to ever compete in the Winter Olympics, but it doesn't even snow in Tonga. The 34-year-old made the cut on the last day of qualifications, mind you, after having decided to pick up the sport of cross-country skiing just 2 years ago. After qualifying, Pita said, "For those that missed it in Rio, you guys are going to know where Tonga is now." And if he looks familiar, that's because he competed in the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio, where he famously carried Tonga's flag during the opening ceremonies shirtless. It'll be interesting to see what he wears this year, being that it'll be slightly colder at the Winter Olympics. Astrid Emily Francis is an English as a Second Language, or ESL, teacher in North Carolina. At her school, there are more than 125 children who speak Spanish at home but must learn English in the classroom. Francis understands firsthand the difficulties these students face. When she was 15, she moved from Guatemala to New York City with no knowledge of English and only a 6th grade education. But she never lost sight of her dream of becoming a teacher. With lots of hard work, she earned her GED and eventually bachelor and master's degrees in education. Now she's using her own experience to help her students. Francis teaches their parents, who may be working multiple jobs, how to engage with their kids about what they're learning in school. Because of Francis's extraordinary efforts, she was honored as Teacher of the Year in Cabarrus County, North Carolina in 2016. And how cool to have a teacher that proves no dream is too big. If you're one of the people who've enjoyed the chandelier earring trend, you could be facing the effect of drooping earlobes. Ears are the new target of dermatologists, or drooping earlobes to be more specific, because they droop as you age. Even momager Kris Jenner said her drooping earlobes made her feel insecure. The secret to toning and tightening dangling earlobes is Restylane or other hyaluronic acid fillers. New York City dermatologist Francesca Fusco, MD, says you only need a drop or 2 strategically injected around the pierced hole. The treatment is fast, painless, and can be done in your doctor's office. Maintenance is needed about twice a year to keep the skin taut, and each treatment costs around $500. It may be a purely cosmetic procedure, but if it keeps you in the trendy chandelier earrings, it might be worth it.
Filling a job vacancy can be pretty tough, which is why the people at the city of Los Angeles decided to get creative. In order to fill a job opening for a graphic designer, the folks down at City Hall in Los Angeles posted an unusual ad online, one that's so terribly designed, it looks like a toddler might have made it. After posting the unconventional job listing on the City of Los Angeles Facebook page, it went viral, which was a terrific way to search far and wide for someone with the skills to fill this position, which can pay up to $103,230. The person with the real ingenuity behind this is the City of Los Angeles very creative social media manager, who probably themselves won't be looking for a job anytime soon.
That's it for today's Top 30. Here are some stories coming up that you need to know. You might be surprised at what the average American will spend 6 figures on during their lifetime. It's more expensive than many 4-year degrees. Plus, the Winter Games are coming up, and with temperatures in South Korea expected to be well below freezing, athletes are trying a new way to stay warm. And finally, this couple met in the digital world when they were just kids. Now they're married in real life, and you won't believe their story. All these stories and more are coming up on the next Top 30.